We've got some really nice Arborvitaes I'd like to share with you tonight. This is Degroot Spire that we're coming up on. Look at the forking that's starting to happen on those. So that forking that you see on the top there, where they start splitting out, that's just one of the characteristics I just absolutely love with this Arborvitae. You know, look at that. I have not had a problem with snow folding those down, not like the home Strups or the Hex Midget. We'll take a look at them shortly. This pair has been here about 12 years. They were planted, I'm sure, around a 2 to 3 foot size Arborvitae. The Degroot Spires, you know, they get about maybe 4 feet wide. I think about 15, maybe even up to closer to 20 feet is going to be the maximum height. We had a winter we went through about 5, maybe 7 years ago. Terrible, lost a lot of different evergreens. The Degroots held up pretty well. They had just a little bit of browning on the tips. I was a little worried they were going to start frying up as we got closer into spring, but they came out of it, and man, we've had a nice rainy season, and that's sometimes what Arborvitaes and some of the evergreens need. Just that recharge, the water in the soil profile can just do so much. A burst of growth, a burst of color. And the home Strup Arborvitae. This is a really nice broad pyramid with a super rich green color. We've got 3 of them here, and I planted them pretty tight on purpose where they'd blend together and create a screen behind a sitting area on the porch. Now take a look at this video. The home Strup Arborvitae does have a drawback with that snow load. This has happened to these home Strups twice, where they've been almost level to the ground. And lo and behold, with that reaction wood and that ability, they stand up virtually on their own, hardly had to do any staking from behind. So in that respect, they'll bounce back. I also recommend, if you ever do have a snow load problem on Arborvitaes, just leave them. Let that snow slowly melt off, let them come back and do the correcting after the fact. If you go out there and you try to start knocking that snow off, you're probably going to break some branches. Arborvitaes on the back side, if they're planted up against a house and they don't have enough sun, you are going to start getting a complete desiccation of the needles. And that shaded problem's happening behind these Arborvitaes. We're using this philodendron, a large houseplant, to kind of block that ugliness as they start desiccating. We'll pull these leaves back here, and you can kind of see they're just starting to be void of needles. So not the showiest. That's going to happen if you're up against the side of a house too. Arborvitaes will start dropping their needles. So again, the home Strup Arborvitae, these have never been sheared. If you look closely, they got kind of a little bunchy habit to them. Nice upright form. Again, with that broad base, extremely hardy. Now as we go through each Arborvitae, I'm trying to hold back saying this is my favorite, but this is my favorite. Yellow ribbon Arborvitae. This thing throughout the summer draws your eye. Winter, off to snow, that yellow, gorgeous. Just absolutely my favorite Arborvitae. Never been sheared. That Arborvitae's never had a snow load problem. Just an absolutely wonderful yellow foliage, summer and winter. This is approaching about the mature height. It's considered to be about 10 feet would be mature height after 10 to 12 years. 3 to 4 feet, I think if you read the label, this is easily pushing over 6 feet in width. Once again, this is an Arborvitae that held up very well with no winter burn, and last year we had a severe drought. Did extremely well with limited water. Yellow ribbon Arborvitae. These are 2 Technitos, planted, you know, pretty small ones, number 5 pot about 12 years ago. I've allowed them to blend together on purpose. I just wanted that effect. But again, those qualities of no burning, beautiful framing or accent type plant, screening, just a perfect Arborvitae. If you give it the space, you're never going to have to shear this plant, and it'll hold just an absolutely perfect form. And if I hadn't already picked a favorite, these Technitos would be my favorite. And the amber gold Arborvitae, hanging out here by the bubblers. What a great location. But that yellow, look at that, how it accents off the brown of this iron pergola and the basalt pillars. What a great accent. Super Arborvitae. Here's a little bit younger amber gold right next to that hoopsie blue spruce. Look at that combination of colors. We've got a purple salvia back there that kind of came in, self-seeded itself up against that blue hoopsie spruce, that yellow contrast. That area is really coming together. We'll start talking about a few globe arborvitaes now that hold their shape in that nice circular round form. This is the smallest arborvitae that I've grown, Danica, and done very well. Done very well here. Got a little bit of a bunchy habit to it, never been sheared. You can shear this and have that absolutely manicured shape. I just choose the natural form, and anytime I can plant an arborvitae where it's just going to be allowed to do its overall mature natural shape, that's what I'm shooting for. And we're coming up on dwarf globe, little giant arborvitae. This could get up to around that 4 foot, maybe even push 5 feet. So eventually it might start encroaching on some of these perennials. Nice globe. You don't have to shear it if you don't want to. Just let it develop into that nice round shape. Originally we had a Norm Evers arborvitae here, and that was going to be a nice size one too. It just burned up, so it wasn't hardy. But dwarf, little giant. This one's going to be hardy here. It's doing extremely well. And the Hex Midget arborvitae, probably the industry standard, at least in our area, as far as a nice smaller globe arborvitae. Here's another little Hex Midget arborvitae tucked in here by this little fence. Cardinal dogwood over the top of it, so we've got to maybe keep that pruned back or we'll start getting some of the desiccation and needle drop. So the Hex Midget arborvitae, just a solid 3 foot by 3 foot, maybe a little bit more on the mature ones. I've never sheared this. It does shear beautifully into perfect little globes. Winter snow load, whoo! Take a look at these photos, man. This thing's been hit a couple times and it's always come back on its own. Somehow the arborvitaes have the ability with this reaction wood just to bounce back. And this little pyramid arborvitae right next to it. This is a little seedling that came up. Kind of was only about 1 inch tall when I first saw it, and I left it. I hate to dig it out. It's not the look I was looking for necessarily, since I've already got a pyramidal pine back here, this bristlecone pine, but eventually it's going to start shading out this area here. So we're at that critical point now where we're either going to have to take it out or just let them blend together and just stay here, because I don't want to sacrifice the browning and ruin both plants. This is an offshoot of the Zmatlik arborvitae. Now I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This is an area that gets an incredible amount of snow, so it's been covered every winter. If we get a winter we don't have that snow, I think we're going to challenge the hardiness of this one. But little primo, you know, just kind of got that mountain rustic look to it. Perfect little spot for it. And one of the globe yellow arborvitaes. Again, look at that, just a little bit looser form. It's underneath this spring snow flowering crab here. But again, the arborvitaes will tolerate some shade. Just expect you're going to get that little bit looser form, not so tight. But sometimes, you know what? That's just a nice look, not having that sheared effect. Nice look. And if you take a look here on the back side, same thing as the home strups. Look at that severe shade. No sun, so it's really starting to get a void there. I think the rabbits had a little bit to do with that one season. Maybe they ate back some of the branches, but the shade definitely can start getting that look on an arborvitae. And so we've come full circle with the arborvitaes that I have to share with you. Back to the Degroot Spire arborvitae, Thuja occidentalis. That's the genus species that we've been talking about. Thanks again for watching Garden Hike. I appreciate it. We'll see you again next video.